Hey everybody, welcome back to Laptop Seniors. Today we are going to show you here. This is Punta Paitilla in Panama City, Panama. We're going to talk about some rents. We're going to walk through the neighborhood, the barrio as they would call it. We're going to not only do rents, but also, what prices of what things, if you wanted to buy something, buy a condo or an apartment, or and what it's like. It's a really nice area and it's really close to the city. I mean, it's walking distance to a whole bunch of things that we're going to go into. And the prices run the gamut. They can be a little cheaper than maybe you would expect. And they for sure can be a lot more expensive than you would expect, depending on what you're looking at. So anyway, we're going to go through that. One of the things, I don't even know how to explain this because it's kind of weird. I'm going to show you a couple things about Panama City, and also it also happens in Mexico, one of these things, that I don't really have any normal place to put it into a video. I mean, it's just like a one-off that you probably have never seen anybody actually do in a video about Panama City, so I'm going to show you that. And this is like the first one, okay? And these are the party buses. The party buses in Panama City, and you see them all the time. I've never seen this many in a row, though, on Avenida Balboa or anywhere else for that matter. It's just, they're just cool. And they must, I don't know, they must spend a fortune on the amount of lights that they put on these buses. Now, the second one is going to be about restaurants, because I certainly got a different impression before we ever went to Panama City and really hung out there and, and spent time there a lot, as we do. And what people tell you about restaurants is not typically true. I mean, I get a nice, bad way to put it. It actually is true, but it isn't in the ratio that it appears to be. You have the impression that, wow, all the restaurants are like, you can go in there and, fill yourself 2 people for $10. Or $5 or $6 or $14 or something like that. Magnificent meals. That is not the case. Now, you can do that, but they don't look like North American restaurants. They would be something that a local would know and feel comfortable going to and all that sort of stuff. But you, being there, for the first time from North America or Europe or whatever, you're not going to know what they are, and you're probably not going to feel comfortable out of the gate of going into one. So what you spend at a restaurant is going to be dramatically different than the way they make those videos, they portray it to be. So I'm going to show that to you really clearly, the differences, okay? And one of the things, well, I'll tell you later. Punta Paitilla. So what's the deal with Punta Paitilla? Well, let me go through a few things for you, since we were just speaking about restaurants. There's a lot of restaurants and cafes that you can go to, and they're really nice and they're good. So, it's a walkable area. For sure, it's a walkable area, residential, that type of thing, that you can get to a lot of things. You can get to a very large mall, easily within walking distance. You can get to amazing hospitals, walking distance. But some of the oddities that are great, there's 24/7 security in most of the condo buildings, particularly the new ones. English is spoken by many of the residents there. So being that, if you're coming in from a different country, probably it's going to be easier in that area when you encounter those people to have a conversation and to make a friend, and maybe even a decent close friend, for the long haul, if you're living in that area. Where in other areas, that may not be the case depending on where you are, especially if you get out of the expat areas where you don't actually run into expats. But I'm talking about locals will be able to speak English no problem. And here's an odd one that you don't usually hear too often. Lots of the buildings have generators, and the electricity and also the internet in Panama City, it does go out from time to time. It's not like one of those things where like, oh, you really got to worry about it, but they do go out. And if you're in a building and you've got a lot of frozen food in your refrigerator, that would be a worry. Let's get to some specifics. Punta Paitilla is located right on the Pacific Ocean. So therefore you get stunning waterfront views, and you get cool sea breezes. That helps so you don't have to use so much air conditioning. You're minutes from top hospitals like Punta Pacifica, which is ideal if you're a retiree, in peace of mind. It's an extremely walkable neighborhood, wide sidewalks, plenty of shade, And it's convenient access to supermarkets and pharmacies and banks and all the things that you would need, to have a normal life somewhere. And you're not out in a neighborhood where it's all residential and you have to walk a long ways to get to a supermarket or a pharmacy or a little tienda or whatever. Everything is relatively close, and that's kind of the beauty of Punta Paitilla, because it's also really close, even though it's not in, but it's really close to downtown and Avenida Balboa and the office district and all that sort of stuff. Okay, now we're going to go for a walk, and we're going to start at Avenida Italia, and it's a pretty long street. It goes all the way through Punta Paitilla, and we're going to go up to the Parque Paitilla. Vivi likes to, she loves actually filming and doing the voiceover while she's filming. So it's kind of like a blow-by-blow, actually, as it's happening and the thoughts running off her mind. So I'm just going to let her take pretty much the whole rest of this, and you'll hear what I hear when I'm walking next to her, and she's just yakking away as she's filming, okay?
I think you can see right now the reason why we don't really have beaches to go to here in Panama City. The tide is out, so we're looking at mud flats, but you see all along the waterfront is a big rocky ledge, which would be pretty treacherous to climb down, and I guess it keeps people from walking out and then getting caught when the tide comes back in. This is the Republic of Colombia Consulate Office in Panama City. There are a lot of people waiting to go in. Check out the tulip design of this building. All the way around with the curved glass. Imagine.
One of the interesting things about driving in Panama, and walking too, really, if you notice straight across, you can see where it says Alto, that red sign. It's a stop sign, typical stop sign, at the four corners, okay? All right, except that if you look here, no stop sign. All right, it's fine, it's a major street. Same thing going the other way. But if you look right straight across, which is not a major sign, right, kind of where that kid is walking, you can just kind of see right around there, see the guy walking? There's no stop sign there. So this is a four corners and there's only one stop sign. Usually there's no stop signs. Everybody just kind of fends for themselves going through it. It's interesting to watch. So here's a question you got to ask yourself. If you're living in this building right here, right, any of these buildings, right, with this going on right below it, how long before those buildings topple? Just a question. Especially the ones right in front, right close to the edge of where the earth is gone.
Punta Paitilla right now, and I thought this building was a good example of showing you how parking is built above ground rather than underground. So we're looking at the D1 tower, and Planta Baja is always the ground level, and the first floor is what we would normally think of as the second floor. But look at these floors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 or 6 floors of parking, and then the apartments are built above it, going way, way, way up there. I don't don't know how many floors this building has, but it's a tall one. And the parking does not go across the entire building. So you see this is the Aventura Tower. And so that is residential offices or something on that section. But this part has the parking going up. Pretty cool, huh? Every time we walk here, I'm taken by how unusual this building is in front, the red brick. I mean, look at that on the left, the brown turret. And then there's like a square section. And then those balconies just hanging out there. Like, look at that big one at the top. Would that have been part of the original structure? I imagine it would have to be, but crazy. So we are just going down the hill here and approaching Paitilla Park, which is one of our favorite spots here. So from a different view, this is called Lion Tower. And look at that. It's definitely an older building, but I just think it's so cool and interesting. Punta Paitilla definitely has more trees than other parts of Panama City. And this building would be overlooking this lovely park. Let's see if you can walk with me. Another thing I've noticed about Punta Paitilla is that there are less broken sidewalks here. There's the park. Look how lovely. And then it does sit on the waterfront because it's on the other side of the peninsula that Punta Paitilla sits in. Look at that. There's a dog park. Beautiful area if you have dogs. Calle Thomas Gabriel Duque. Municipal Government Park. Now you can see the ocean. Bear with the bumps. I'm just going down the stairs here into the park. Now those are the buildings we walked past coming in. I was showing you the brown building that's across the street from those, which we can't see right now. Looks like there are city workers collecting garbage. Look at this fellow in the red hat sitting here on his phone. Go figure. It's a fantastic playground back here, and I believe it's connected to a school behind it. So here's the little sitting circle. There we see that brown building up the hill. So they definitely have a view of the park, although the trees in front. Sorry, there are little flies landing on my arm. I have to blow them off. And again, you can see the tide is out, but this is where the ocean meets the land here. A lot of birdie poop around. I think the birds really go out hunting in the shoreline when the tide is out. look at the height of these buildings from here. Incredible. Wow, if you can see in the mist of the distance, even from here you can see the boats lined up to go through the canal. It's a constant line. We are looking towards Punta Pacifica now. You see there are a bunch of low-rises. You know, that might not be a school behind. I believe schools are on break right now from January to March. Instead of having a summer vacation, they have a winter vacation because, of course, it's their dry season and their best weather. Did you feel him landing?
Yeah, no, he's actually kind of hit with a thud.
Pat has another friend. I can't leave you alone for a minute, can I? If you can see through the glass, which is pretty dirty, on this building called Platinum Tower, see that gorgeous iron circular stairway inside. Let's try that. It's an awesome looking building. I love great architecture.
Now, let's get to the restaurants. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple restaurants and we're going to show you what they cost. And, you know, and you'll be like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's what I always thought all of them were. But it's not the case. So now I'm going to tell you, because I keep track of everything on a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet. When we go somewhere, actually, even when we're home, when you do that and you're retired, you don't get any surprises. Or if you seem to be like, I think I'm spending more money here than we normally do, you can go back to the spreadsheet and actually look and go like, yeah, actually we are. We are like eating out way too much. So we spent $46.61 on an average of restaurants in Panama City. That's US dollars. It's two of us. You know, it's kind of like a mid-level restaurant. You know, nothing fancy, nothing, you know, super, you know, low end, like I'm going to show you also, and what you get the impression, the way things are. And again, roughly $47. That was the full bill with the tip. So, I mean, it's a real specific average of that's what you're going to pay for North American type restaurants for two people. She usually gets a glass of wine. I might get a pop or a beer. Sometimes she gets two wines, sometimes three or four, but usually it's one or two. And, you know, and we have a normal meal, okay? Again, $47. Now, as you can see, there were two nights, one for Vivi's birthday and another for Valentine's Day, where we went out and the restaurants were way more expensive, okay? Now, as you see, if you knock those two out, because they were definitely oddities and you would not necessarily be wanting to spend over $100 at a restaurant for two people, then the average drops down to $36.62. That was our average when you pull those expensive ones out. So, you know, again, $37. So $47 or $37. Now, let's move over to the cheaper restaurants that your impression probably is that most restaurants are like these.
So you know how we've shown you different restaurants and different prices? We just walked into this little cafeteria in Punta Paitilla and ordered this meal. Well, it's actually a buffet, which they serve from. You see the people in the background that are lined up to get their meals. Guess what this cost? This entire meal, so it has rice, beans, prepared chicken, and 2 large meatballs, and an iced tea. $5.35. Yes, eat your heart out. This restaurant, Delicias Johnny Restaurante, what a surprise. Comida criolla. Good food and amazing prices.
Look at this. 2 drinks, 2 whole chicken meals. Here's the chicken meal. This is curry chicken with some beans, coleslaw, couple drinks, times 2, $11.20 total, all in.
What you're looking at now is where we walked down into Punta Paitilla a few minutes ago when we headed towards the park. Just wanted to show you this top corner here is quite chaotic. So the roadway comes up here and turns. And you'll see this is part of the Cinta Costera, what do you call that? The overpass. You actually have to walk up the stairs to go over the highway and across. And that is the multi-plaza on the other side there. So we'll show you from the other side again what this looks like, but it's quite chaotic to see. So looking behind this bus, looking at Avenida Balboa.
And finally, let's talk about rentals of apartments in this area and also buying an apartment. Now, let's go to the buying first. A typical one bedroom is going to be somewhere between $250,000 and $350,000 US dollars. That's for a one. And for a two, it's going to be somewhere between $350,000 and $500,000. That'd be kind of what most of them are, but I mean, some of them, go up to $800,000, $900,000, $1 million, whatever. These can be pretty large. A lot of them, where normally would be, okay, there's a 3-bedroom, in the States or in Canada, and maybe it's 1,400 square feet. Where here you're looking at this price, but maybe they're 2,000 square feet. Generally speaking, I think in Panama City, for everything that we've seen, apartments tend to be larger than they are in North America. So we're going to go through a Spanish site, and you'll get a feel for what the rental prices are and what you see, and we'll go through a couple of them. This is one of the larger websites throughout Latin America that has listings for real estate and a whole bunch of other things. It's kind of like Facebook Marketplace in a way, but we're in obviously the apartment section. This is encuentra24.com, and you can see it up on the top left-hand corner of the screen. Anyway, so these are rentals, and they are in Punta Paitilla. So I'll go through a couple of them, but I'm just going to swing through so you get an idea of the rents. B means Balboan, which is the Panamanian currency, but B actually means it's equal to a US dollar. So just picture these as US dollars, okay? So this is $1,450 US dollars for this apartment. $4,600, $1,450, $950, $1,200. Yeah, I'm just going to scroll through fairly quickly. You'll get the idea of what the rents are in this area, okay? Not very many go below $1,200. A lot of them are $1,300, $1,350 or higher. Let me just go to page 2, and then we'll go back and we'll pick a couple out of them and do it. $2,900, $5,500, $1,800. Oh, here's one, $1,100. Interesting. Again, you keep seeing that $1,300 come up a lot, so that's kind of like, seems like the sweet spot on the low end. And everything else can be a lot higher. Okay, you get the idea. Now we'll go through and I'll pick a couple of them just to take a look. This is a $1,300 one, and I'll just go through the pictures kind of so you get an idea. There's the building. Doesn't say what building it is right here. I'll scroll down and see if we can get it. Pretty decent size. Well, big kitchen. Okay, so let's see what this is. $1,300 a month, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1 parking space, and it's 113 square meters. So this is about 1,200 square feet, somewhere in there, which is a pretty decent size. Let's do one more. This one also is around 1,300, so let's take a look through it. In a condo building, nice building. Dark kitchen, but pretty decent size. Although it could be because there's a lot of light coming in, shuts the camera down. Okay, we're back to where we were. All right, so what do we got here? $13.50, and this is a bigger one. So this is 120 square meters. So this is going to be, I don't know, 1,400 square feet, somewhere in there. 2 parking spaces, 2 bedroom, 2 bath. 30-year-old building, and it's on the first floor. Piso is floor, so numero piso is first floor, which actually would not necessarily be on the ground floor, depending on the way the building's built, because, you know, as Viv was showing you, a lot of times floor number 1 is parking, or floor 2, 3, 4, 5 in our terms is parking, and floor number 1, you know, may actually be like the 6th floor, 7th floor up in the air. Let's go up a little bit more. This is $1,450. Ooh, nice unit. This is pretty. Waterfront view. Gas stove. It's a nice apartment for $1,450. We'll see what sort of size this is in just a second. Okay. All right, so what do we have here? This is 17th floor and 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 150 square meters. It's I'm ballpark of that, maybe 1,700 square feet. This is not small, that's for sure. And the price is down 6%, so it was higher. So maybe it was, I don't know, $1,500. I'm trying to do the math in my head. But any apartment with view of the sea. Nice. It's a pretty nice place. Now you may be wondering, well, what do you get for something if you really, spend more money? Let's pick one and see what we get. $4,000. I'd like to see a $3,000 one, but let me see. We'll jump maybe to a $4,000 one. Yeah. Whoa, that looks like a monstrous place. This looks like an office building, doesn't it? This could be an Apple store. Sure, why not? Okay, I'm out of the gate before the pictures. I'm curious. What is this? Okay, this is 500 square meters. This is, I don't know, 6,000 square feet. 4 bedroom, 4.5 bath, 3 parking, 12 years old. Doesn't say what floor it's on, unless I'm missing it here. All right, let's go back and look at the picture. Man, that's a big place. Holy smoke, $5,500. So what is that? That's like $65,000 a year you're spending on rent. But if you got the dough, that is a monstrous living room. View of the ocean, of course you would for $5,500. I mean, you should almost get a boat with this for that much money. But nice. Wow, that's a big kitchen. It looks like a movie set for for some famous chef or something when they're doing their hey, come watch. Well, now we're going to show you how to do spaghetti by hand. Okay, and let me just whip through these because there's no furniture. Hard to get that's a big bathroom. This is all marble too. Look at that floor. Wow. Okay. One more. I'll see if I can find a one that's like maybe $3,000, somewhere in there. Last one. This is $3,200. It's $3,260, 4 bedroom, 5 baths, 2 parking spaces. Again, this is again over 5,000 square feet. Wow. And $3,260. That is insane. For $3,260, most places in the States that gets you probably a 2 or a 3 bedroom. And it would be, 1,300 square feet. Okay, built in 1983, 17th floor, 2 parking spots. Again, you're looking at the water. You can see the water. It's a weird design, interesting. Okay, this is definitely showing its age.
Apartment looks a little, I don't know, beat up a little bit, at least these pictures. Looking at the floor and things. Is this 2 stories? Oh, it's a penthouse. It is a penthouse. Missed that. And you get this on the outside, so this is probably your upper terrace, balcony. Wow. This building used to be the Trump Tower, and now it's a Marriott Hotel, and this is in Punta Pacifica. So this building here would be on the back end of Punta Paitilla. And you can also see this island over here. It's a high-end island. People live on it. I forget the name of it. But anyway, this is a great location for this building. But again, it's, you know, it looks like it's showing its age a bit. But okay, we're coming around again. So there you go, $3,260. Man, that's, you get a lot of building. You get a lot of apartment for $3,200. I had a friend of ours who had a thing like this. You know, they caught one of these older things that was massive, penthouse on the top of a building. This was back in Toronto, and I mean, it was a fabulous apartment, but it was really old and, you know, and messed up and whatever. And what they did was worked it out with the owner that it was to be a 10 or 15 year lease. It was a long lease at a really low price, but in return for that, they would actually pay for fixing up the apartment itself. So they put in a brand new kitchen, like a, you know, like one of those designer kitchens, and they redid the floors and they did other stuff. They put a, you know, decent amount of money into it, but it was nowhere near what it would cost to actually go for a higher rent. Like in, well, we just saw the other one for, what was it, $5,500, you know, a month. So that's 12. That's at like $14,000 a year. You're spending extra on rent. Take that out 10 years. That's 140 grand. If you had the other apartment that looked great and was already done, they paid like maybe 50 grand. Took the really long lease, and basically got the apartment for maybe 30-40% less. Because they had fixed it up. I mean, it was a really interesting concept, and it was beautiful. Just, you know, a different way of thinking.
Punta Paitilla, it's a really nice neighborhood. And also it's, you know, right on the Cinta Costera, and you do that walk along the long park, along the ocean that runs all the way down Avenida Balboa, because Punta Pacifica is right at one end of Avenida Balboa. And, you know, on the other end is Casco Viejo. And I don't know, I think that's like 5 kilometers, maybe 6 kilometers, you know, from one end to the other. So, you know, if you go walking, if you're like a walking person, Punta Paitilla is a great place to live. Hope that helped. Hope that gives you an idea of what Punta Paitilla is like. You definitely want to check it out. It's a nice place to live. As always, subscribe to the channel. We're coming up on 20,000 subscribers. I think we're at 19.5 or 19.6. Love to make 20,000. I think you get a plaque from YouTube if you do that. You know, then you could put it in the background like people do. You know, they have that silver or gold plaque behind them. That'd be kind of neat to have. So if you haven't subscribed already, it'd be nice. Love it if you do that. Okay. Until the next video. See ya.